这边好像那种快速路段还可以。
All right, we're rolling. So wave goodbye to everyone. Bye. See you later. Make sure you take those seats. Beautiful view to the right side here. That is where we are headed. And welcome on board. This is the studio tour. I'm Heather, your guide. We got Jessica at the wheel. We're going to take care of you. All you need to do is kick back, relax, enjoy the ride. I do have to cover some safety before we get too far. First, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram or have any sound or video issues, reach up, grab the red E-cord, runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I will be back to assist you as soon as it is safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated, keeping arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Remember to use the red cord above your head if you need any assistance. This studio is private property, so if at any time during the tour you drop your phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, you can pull the cord, but then you have to remain seated. Please no smoking of any kind during our tour, and be prepared. Our tour today will feature loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, many water effects as well. You want cell phones and cameras out for photos. Just keep an eye on them so they don't get too wet. Finally, for your safety and those around you, please do not use your selfie sticks while on board the tram. With that, we're getting underway. We got a big construction site here to your left. We're putting up a new roller coaster. It's based on the Fast and Furious franchise. We've seen signs for it. We're calling it Hollywood Drift, opening up in 2026. We're very excited. And I love that we're getting to see the whole process here as they start to put up the big track areas and stuff all on the side of the hill here. And, of course, on the right side, you'll see the lower lot of our theme park. That includes Transformers, The Mummy, Jurassic World, and all of Super Nintendo World. So you get a nice look at that as well. My co-host is here to say hi. He's the host of The Tonight Show on NBC. It is Jimmy Fallon.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world-famous studio tour. I know you're thinking, why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Thank you, Jimmy. As we head down the hill, you might see our fire station here to the right. That is Fire Station 51, keeping us safe every day here on the lot. So always give a little shout out here as we roll by. We got 400 acres here at Universal. We're the largest studio in Los Angeles. We actually refer to ourselves as Universal City, California. That name started with our founder, Carl Laemmle. You can see Mr. Laemmle on your screens. He was a German immigrant, came to America in the late 1800s, started the company in 1912, bought this property. We moved out here in 1914. And 1 year later, we started inviting guests onto the lot to watch us film silent movies. Now, when sound became a thing in the 20s, we had to close the lot to the public, didn't reopen it until the 60s. And it was under the leadership of company chairman Lou Wasserman, executives Al Dorskin and Jay Stein. The idea for reviving the studio tour returned when the Gray Line bus tours originating in Hollywood started making a stop here at Universal. On July 15th, 1964, the first of our red and white candy-striped glamour trams took 67 passengers on a 2-hour driving tour of the lot. The world-famous studio tour was born. We started with 2 guides and 2 drivers, eventually expanding, adding to our staff, adding to our tour, like attractions like the burning house and the rock slide. And we're coming into the front lot of the studios. We got a lot of activity here on your left side. The front lot houses administrative offices, sound and editing departments, as well as a good amount of our sound stages. These big black and white buildings with numbers on them are our sound stages. We've got 36 in total here at Universal. We're prepping for the next season of Hacks inside some of these front lot stages. Gene Smart stars in that show. It's brilliant. Go check it out. It streams on Max. We produce it here at Universal, though, and it's always filmed here at Universal, so we're excited to get it back. You always can see us doing something. Usually we're prepping, building a set, decorating, getting the lighting in place, all of that stuff. Stages are where we do 90% of production because they're completely controlled environments. We light them up to be any time of day, no matter what time of day it is outside, and that is huge. That expands the time that we can film something. Around the corner, a historic stage, Stage 14, been on our lot since 1932. It's our second oldest stage here. About 20,000 square feet. We've built some massive scenes inside that stage. The lab from John Carpenter's The Thing was in there. It's also where the Grinch's lair from How the Grinch Stole Christmas was built. One day we were on the tour, we came around the corner, there were two elephants crossing the street in front of us because they were heading to the Ark for Evan Almighty. That was built inside Stage 14 as well. Though in the last decade or so it's been home to television. It was part of Superstore for 6 years. Now it's home to Peacock's Bel Air, which just dropped its 3rd season. In fact, I got Jabari Banks and Ollie Charlton here from the show to say hi.
We're leaving the theme park behind and entering the Front Lot where real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we can create any kind of environment the script demands.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets from your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination can take you, even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who or what.
We make a lot of television here, and we have been since the 50s. Keep in mind, we are NBC Universal. We're one of the biggest TV broadcasters of all time, and now we have our streaming service Peacock as well. In fact, we've been working on another Peacock series, and the stage is here to your right. It's called Based on a True Story. We just wrapped season 2 of that show. Kaylee Cuoco and Chris Messina. These stages have been home to so many different TV shows. A lot of the titles you see on your screens filmed over here. A lot of classic sitcoms for many years were done here, like The Jeffersons, Who's the Boss, Facts of Life, Martin with Martin Lawrence in the 90s filmed here. We've got another TV star on your left. Hey, Ted. Ted is on Peacock. You got to check it out. I've seen every episode. It's great. Prequel to the movies. He's standing outside of our production bungalows. So these little bungalow buildings basically house production companies, producers, people that we work with here in the industry that are often responsible for the very first part of the process when we're green-lighting a project and getting it put on a streamer or getting it to become our next feature film. Maybe you're putting together a writer's room, finding a director, doing all that kind of stuff in these bungalows. Big names in entertainment have offices here on the lot, like Illumination. They're responsible for Despicable Me 4, The Minions, Super Mario Brothers movie. We got Kevin Williamson's Outer Banks Entertainment. He wrote and created Scream. He's directing Scream 7. He did TV shows like Dawson's Creek and The Vampire Diaries. So very excited to have him on our lot. Mark Black Productions, not their big office. In fact, you might see the Wicked Ball outside of their office because they produced Wicked coming out later this year with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Malcolm TV's Blackmail Productions is here. He directed one of my favorite films, Girls Trip. And he's right next door to Alfred Hitchcock's old office, 5195. He had that office for years when he did movies like Marnie, Torn Curtain, The Birds, and most famously Psycho here at Universal. Oh, got a light on. All right, little red light there for Lopez versus Lopez. They're filming season 3 right now of the George Lopez, Maya Lopez series. And right next to us, stage 26. Currently home to a new comedy we're working on, St. Dennis Medical. That one's going to star David Allen Greer, Wendy McClendon Covey, Allison Tolman, Glee from Hawaii. So great cast. They use stage 26 for their interiors, but guess what? Their exteriors, well, those are done right across the street on the right side. This is our backlot, home to large-scale exterior locations like the Metropolitan set that you can see over here. In fact, the exterior for the hospital for St. Dennis Medical, right there. You can see their ambulance van. That show comes out in November on NBC. This is called Brownstone Street. It's been here for years. In fact, you can see it on screen in the movie Bruce Almighty.
Raise the door! Inside bad, outside good. Inside bad, outside good. Oh, you're done now. Great. B-E-A-U.
Little example there of how we might decorate this set, make it look like a different town, different location. For St. Dennis Medical, it's supposed to take place in Oregon. For Bruce Almighty, it was Buffalo, New York. And of course, we've done things like How I Met Your Mother, The Mindy Project, The Sting back in the 70s filmed over there as well. So really fun little area there of the lot. But we're pulling into what might be the most recognizable section of our backlot. We call it Courthouse Square. It's better known as Hill Valley from Back to the Future.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey, everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour? See you in the future.
That is Bob Gale, writer, creator of Back to the Future. Leah Thompson, one of the stars, of course. Hill Valley, that is what this area is most famous for, but we call this Courthouse Square. It has been here since the 40s, used for things like Active Murder with Frederick March, To Kill a Mockingbird, the early 60s filmed here, you can see that there. Things like Gremlins filmed here, it's all Kingston Falls. Building a new set right now for a TV series, which if you saw the first season, you might recognize the set, so always fun to start to see them prepping for production here, and they're letting us drive through still. On New York Street, you might see theater marquees like the one on the corner used for Taylor Swift's Wildest Dreams music video. This is New York Street. I love this area, downtown kind of. So the buildings get a little taller here. If you look out, you can see they're about 50 feet high. That's the max height. But sometimes we got productions that need them to look a lot taller. Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man shot a lot of scenes here with Andrew Garfield. So did Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire before that. And obviously, for those movies, we got to make these buildings look like they're 20 stories tall, right? So when they had Amazing Spider-Man here, I remember they had green screens kind of over the tops of a lot of the buildings so we can digitally enhance them. A lot of times, though, it just comes down to how are you going to change the practical decoration. So a lot of times we're taking out the light poles that you see here. We might put in gas lamps or something that looks a little bit more in the decade that we're supposed to be in. We did a show here called Quantum Leap for a couple of years with Raymond Lee and Ernie Hudson. This was used in almost every episode as different time periods, different cities, so we could change the language on the windows, make it any country in the world as well. This was actually London in our Hobbs and Shaw film with Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Idris Elba. They did a big motorcycle chase scene. It was really cool. A lot of it filmed here because the more dangerous stunt sequences, we're going to do something like that here where we have buildings that are made out of wood, plastic, and plaster. So you can destroy these things and rebuild them pretty easily, by the way. Now, we're going to leave the Metropolitan sets behind for now and head up the hill. We got two other parts of our studio tour that we used to do on the tour. We don't anymore, so I'll show you them on your screens. The collapsing bridge, we used to drive the trams over. You might remember this. We did this all the way to the 20-teens, and ultimately when we got halfway across, we'd plummet down a few feet. It was always good for a good scream from everybody. The runaway train at the end of the bridge, you can see there on the right, that used to sit in our western sets, and that would come hurtling towards the trams, always coming to a screeching halt, of course. Both of these have since retired. We don't use them on the tour anymore, but they now sit at the entrance to the cave. It's going to get us back to Skull Island from the 2005 movie King Kong, directed by Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up the adventure. Kong literally does it. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. How commonplace is it? So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
That's right. All right, a couple safety reminders here before we move in. Make sure you stay seated for all of this. This is going to get very bumpy and bouncy. In fact, we're going to throw you around a lot in here, so I want you to hold on to everything. Welcome back to Skull Island. 63 team. That joined us 14 years ago, 2010. Ultimately, it is, like I said, a sequel to the 2005 film. So yes, Weta Effects built this for us as well. In fact, you can see a little bit behind the scenes with Peter Jackson and his team as they really helped with the design and the actual construction of that attraction. Hydraulics move us around inside, so that's what that looks like. And then we drive in between two giant movie screens that are 40 feet tall, 180 feet long. We use 16 digital projectors inside that stage.
With a project like the Studio Tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. They're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know where the people are looking. They're looking straight ahead. They're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience. It's a hell of a ride.
Yes, indeed. Weta Effects has now won 7 Academy Awards for their work in visual effects. They're some of the best in the business. I don't know, I think they could win an 8th Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Looked amazing, and that was one of their movies. We're seeing a little bit more of the metro sets. This whole area is about 4 acres, so it's massive in size. It allows us to build the entire obstacle course for American Ninja Warrior in this section a lot whenever they're in LA. So if you ever see them talk about the LA trials, that is all through this area here. One of my favorite things, though, on the right side, this monster mural painted by Tristan Eaton for us a few years ago. It's beautiful. He's a graffiti artist, so the entire thing was done free-handed with hundreds and hundreds of cans of spray paint. I mean, it's just beautiful. An homage, obviously, to our monster legacy. He really put original footage and artwork from those films in each panel, so definitely check that out here as we roll past. Across the street, we do some activity for The Voice. The Voice, that's been here for over 2 decades. They are currently in season 26 right now of The Voice. We got some new coaches this season, Michael Bublé, Snoop Dogg. It's been so much fun having them on the lot. We hold the audience in the tent you see to the right when we're ready for taping. We walk them across the street. And it's fun. It's like a big party. We have one of our coaches, Reba McEntire, doing her new show, Happy's Place, just a few stages over at stage 33. They're here today as well. So we bring in a studio audience for that as well. A lot of fun. A little body of water here, right in the middle of the lot. Park Lake, we call it. Man-made lake's been here for decades. We used to call it the Hollywood Ocean. And on the tour, we used to do something called the Parting of the Red Sea in that lake. It looks a little bit like this, inspired by the Paramount movie, The 10 Commandments, which is why Charlton Heston came at one point to part the waters for our trams. Some of you might remember this. We did this on the tour all the way up to 2016.
Overloaded. Tell them they can walk on water. It's part of the tour.
We, of course, use the lake for filming, however. So, episodes of things like ABC's Desperate Housewives, our show The Good Place, filmed episode CSI, one of my favorite zombie remakes, Dawn of the Dead, the very end of the movie. Scene that plays over the credits. That was all done right here in Park Lake. And let's go back to one of our classics, Creature from the Black Lagoon. All the above water scenes actually shot out in Park Lake here on the lot. Nowadays, this area houses satellite dishes and sound stages, but it used to be home to all of our monster movies. We used to have a massive village set that was built here to house things like Frankenstein and Dracula. Now, we still have a little bit of cobblestone left here on the lot. This is Little Europe. Beautiful part of the studio. It all played Genovia in Disney's Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement. It was also seen in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. Actually, a few of them used this as Port Royale. Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston shot out here many years ago. And for 4 years, this was all the afterlife in our show, The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife. Come on, I have never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
And that show was so awesome. We loved having it here. It's nominated for 13 Emmys in its 4-year run. Almost every episode features the set, Little Europe. A lot of television is filmed out here over the years. We are pretty much the only studio in LA that has something that looks quite like this on the lot. So if you're an LA-based production and your characters are supposed to go somewhere around the world, it's a little easier to travel them right here. Things like, let's see, Alias, Chuck, Heroes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., True Blood, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Beverly Hills 90210, Gilmore Girls, SEAL Team, they have all shot episodes out here in Little Europe. Commercials right now running with Pedro Pascal for Corona, and Sabrina Carpenter did an Olympics promo for us. Those both shot in Little Europe a little more recently, but you can't drive through Little Europe without throwing it back to where it all began, and that, of course, is our monster movies.
I think we don't think of monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera. Classic films. They're just brilliantly made. That Frankenstein image, the flat head, it's one of the great icons of the world. That to me was like the essence of the Universal horror film. I was just mesmerized by these movies. Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney. I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie really scaring me. They still ring in our memories now, and we love them.
Yeah, why are we associated so much with monsters? Well, monsters kind of made us as a studio. So while we started back in 23 with Hunchback of Notre Dame that came out 101 years ago, it really started for us in the 30s. We released both Dracula and Frankenstein in the same year, 1931.
I am
Dracula, of course, played by Bela Lugosi. Now, he became a huge star after this, so naturally they went after him to play the monster in Frankenstein, which came next. But after a screen test that didn't go so well, he said pretty much you could find any mid actor or background actor to play this role, so they did, and it was this guy, Boris Karloff. And Boris had to go through reportedly about 4 hours of makeup application every morning to put this on. This is the first time anyone had seen this. So nowadays we know this is just kind of a part of pop culture. Everyone knows what this is. It's Frankenstein, right? But it was created by Jack Pierce, that makeup artist right there with a very stern look on his face. So this was the very first time anyone had seen this image. Frankenstein would go on to become hugely successful. It would spawn many sequels, maybe most famously The Bride of Frankenstein with Elsa Lanchester, but also House of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Some people consider it the first franchise because of its success, and it launched Boris Karloff into superstardom, but they became friends later in life, so that is Boris and Bela there. And a lot of people don't realize they were two founding members of the Screen Actors Guild, so there's over 160,000 of us now in that union. Boris Karloff was member number 9. Fighting for protection for everyone on set, which was kind of amazing back in those days. We celebrate our relationship with horror here at Universal every year with Halloween Horror Nights. I'm sure you're seeing all the decorations for it. It starts next week, everyone. Next week. Awesome. All right, we're going to leave our monsters behind for now and head inside stage 50. So a reminder to stay seated. Hold on to everything. We might see a little action in here. You do not need your 3D glasses in here. In fact, take a look around. We got a subway set built inside. Now we're doing a little camera testing in here, so you might see the lighting area. We're still painting some of the set. We even have makeup area and wardrobe up in the front here. We're actually testing for a scene. It's going to go upstairs to the top level of the stage where we have a city street set built. So we actually have 2 complete sets built inside the same sound stage, which allows us to a little earthquake. It's okay, we get those from time to time. Just stay seated. Oh, it's still going. Hold on. earthquake on the studio tour. Some of you may know we had it closed for the past year or so. We're kind of updating the inside there, making the metro station look a little bit more modern. But it's really fun. It's all mechanical effects in there. It resets itself in about 15 seconds, and then it's ready to go again. So love having Earthquake back on the tour. I'll let you know we are a little bit past the halfway point on the tour. Just want to remind everyone to stay seated during our entire tour. This studio is private property. If you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, hold the court. I will be back to assist you, but please remain seated on the tram, especially since we're going to take you right down by the water in a small town called Amity Island. Perfect vacation spot with a bit of a shark problem. Now, Amity looking calm and quiet this morning. I don't think we have anything to worry about. Oh, no. I spoke too soon. We got a shark out there. And there's our diver, George. Okay, so it's okay. George has been well trained. I'm sure he knows what to do in this situation. Safe behind all the gasoline barrels. Personal with our resident shark. Nice little taste of the movie Jaws. Jaws came out in theaters June of 1975. It was so successful, we opened this on the tour less than a year later. That opened on April 9th, 1976. Now, Jaws became really, quite literally, the most successful movie of all time for a while. #1 movie at the box office, sold everything out, made a household name out of director Steven Spielberg. Just an incredible success story with that movie. We're going to head to another historic part of the lot right now, though, and here to tell us what's next is today's show co-host and weather anchor, Al Roker.
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special event. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968. Welcome to the only part of the backlot with a 100% chance of rain. The flash flood.
And of course, Al is right. We got rain coming down on the left side, but because we're controlling this, right? So we only want it to come down in front of camera. So we're kind of pretending we're where the crew and the cameras might be. And we're aimed towards our old Mexico set here. So we have sprinklers rigged up on top of camera, top of set, which is how we might do it. And we can even do this inside a soundstage. It gets a little tricky. Sometimes we have to build a pool to catch all the water inside the sound stages. Out here, though, you can also do something with a rain tower if we're doing a wide shot, and that sprays water out everywhere, so it really kind of, our flash flood is coming down the hill. Watch out. Here it comes. Our flash flood is the oldest attraction on the tour, just like Al said. It goes back to 1968. You can see it here on camera in the movie Big Bad Liar. Yeah, we'll do that. Lady Gaga also stood in that flood for her music video Judas. This area also used in Nacho Libre with Jack Black. Three Amigos was filmed here a while before that as well. This is a fun area in the lot, a little more historic. So this is kind of our western area. If you saw Maxine, you saw both Mia Goth and Kevin Bacon chase each other up and down the street. They actually went into some of the sets, which was kind of fun. So that's maybe the most recent thing you can see this area in. We used it in an episode of Quantum Leap. Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood filmed out here as well. Over the years, though, really the heyday of TV and movie westerns, a lot of it happened this part of the lot. You can see a lot of big stars here on your screens. Jimmy Stewart, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne. At some point, all made appearances here to play cowboys. In fact, we even had Mae West film My Little Chickadee out here in the 40s. Things like the Virginian Wagon Train, all filmed out here.
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
Little cowboy logic there with Kirk Douglas and John Wayne. So, yeah, when we film out here, we cover the street and dirt. We cover the ends of the street. And keep in mind, our western area used to be much larger when we had a lot more westerns filming. So we still call this area 6 Points because of that. We had 6 different western towns that all met in the middle, kind of like a wagon wheel there. And you can get a little look on your screens of how it might look if we are trying to kind of have it portray the Old West. For Quantum Leap, they actually built a digital mountain range at the end of this end of the street so that we didn't see the modern-looking sound stages here at the end. Unless we're getting meta and we're playing ourselves, like in Maxine. Nope did a scene where they drove off the lot right here in this road, and you saw a little cafe set up here for an episode of Hacks at one point. Again, we're playing a studio in that. Around the corner, we got Steven Spielberg Drive. We're turning onto it right now. We name a lot of our roads after people have had a lot of influence with this here at Universal. Spielberg is one of the biggest. In fact, he played a big part in bringing our Jaws attraction to the studio tour.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the trap. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
Climbing the hill out of Amity into our neighborhood area. A little street here to your left, used for episodes of CBS's Ghost Whisperer and Netflix's Never Have I Ever. The house on our right is the Chicken Ranch for the movie musical The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. You can see that there. Used for Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses many years later. We've also used it a lot for television. That's most commonly what films up in this area. In fact, we do production using Colonial Street, which is the little street you can see on your left side. That street played with Siri Lane for ABC's Desperate Housewives. Again, used for Never Have I Ever, and we use it in Ted as well. The lead family from Ted lives in a house on that street. The line of state signs here at the end of Colonial, of course, are the entrances to Marty McFly's neighborhood in the Back to the Future trilogy. One of the executive producers on that is Mr. Spielberg, so I'm going to bring him back to tell a little story about the early days of him here at Universal.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom. And when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left. And then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
I love that. Around the corner, so much to see here. We got some beautiful vehicles to your left side. Original glamour tram right there from the 60s and picture cars. things like the Jurassic franchise, Flintstones, the Fast and Furious franchise, and even some Transformers at the end. We have a Bumblebee, a Decepticon police car as well. Picture cars are all screen-used vehicles, ultimately. And all the construction that you're seeing up in this area, this is for Halloween Horror Nights. I mentioned that it starts next week. This is our Terror Tram attraction up here, which makes sense because it's the creepiest part of the lot. We got the Bates Motel right here from Psycho. Psycho, of course, came out in 1960. Starred Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, Janet Leigh as Marion Crane, filmed mostly here at Universal. Truly a piece of Hollywood history. That's why we got the Hollywood sign in the hill in front of you here. It's an official scale replica of the real thing. Real Hollywood sign celebrating its 100th anniversary right now. And we have the actual house from Psycho around the corner. You're going to get up close and personal to it. You can see it here on your screens and in front of you. Originally built as only a two-wall structure. If you look at that shot there from the movie, you only saw the front and side wall ever in the film. And any interior scenes were shot inside sound stages. But we still have the exterior here on the lot. It's now a four-wall structure. We added the other two walls a couple years after the movie Psycho was released. Psycho, considered by many to be one of the greatest horror films of all time. Now, behind the Psycho house, we do have quite the set. This outdoor location was transformed into a plane crash for a movie called War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds starred Tom Cruise, Dakota Fanning, Tim Robbins. It's an updated H.G. Wells story, originally written in the 1800s. And this plane crash set was designed from both Steven Spielberg and production designer Rick Carter. And it looks a little bit like this on camera.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. Well, you're doing good. Keep your eyes on me. Listen, listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Got them closed? Robbie, get in. Get in.
Nice little look at the scene. That's most of it. The scene that filmed out here is about 4 minutes in the film. They shot out here for about 2 weeks. And I remember when they were planning this, it was an open field. This area housed a couple different sets before this. Whoville from How the Grinch Stole Christmas was built out here for a bit. And this was also where Site B was from The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. But before this was here, it was kind of an empty field. They mapped out where the pieces of the plane were going to go. And they got it here from an airport out in the desert. And then built the neighborhood as a match to the New Jersey location where they had shot kind of the rest of this film. I'll let you know we are about 10 to 15 minutes away from the end of the tour. We'll be returning you to the theme park shortly. Once again, if you have an emergency, pull the cord. I will be back to assist you, but please remain seated on the tram. So we have one last set visit to show you. This one comes from a Jordan Peele film called Nope. It's called Jupiter's Claim. If you've seen Nope, quite a bit goes down here. Jupiter's Claim, pretty much the end of the movie. So here to tell us a little bit of the story and guide us through it is Jordan Peele.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Parker. Over there, look into the winking well. Have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Show. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? What? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center. Welcome to the world of no.
creepy in Jupiter's claim. This set originally was built in Agua Dulce, which is where a lot of this movie was shot, which about 45 minutes north of here. It's kind of in the Santa Clarita area. It was also designed by production designer Ruth DeYoung. She worked with Jordan on his movie Us. She was also Oscar nominated for her work on Oppenheimer, so we're so honored to have a set of hers actually here on the tour. And we opened that the same day the movie opened in theaters. So we're taking you through some classic horror, disaster scenes, thrillers. We're going to wrap up this tour by getting you caught in the middle of an action sequence from Fast and Furious.
I'll tell you who I am, boy. I'm the reason bad guys use a nightlight. I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason you just lost control of this whole operation. My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. And as of 16.9 seconds ago, I'm the man in charge.
The hell you are.
Let me clue you in on two things, sweet cheeks. One, there's a high-value witness from the Federal Protection Program aboard your vehicle. And two, an international crime syndicate led by Owen Shaw is honing in on this vehicle to take that witness out. Shaw's as ruthless as they come. He'll stop at nothing to eliminate his target. Every living soul on this vehicle is in serious danger. Other than that, enjoy the ride.
This is not your jurisdiction.
It is now, stink pickle.
I'm so tired of you stink guys stepping in. Just whenever you feel like.
Mute him.
You got it.
Don't mute him.
That's better. We're moving your vehicle to a safe location until we have the situation under control. Until then, I want everybody to stay calm. Enjoy the ride. Taking care of business.
Take a look around. We're moving inside Sullivan's where, we got to meet up with everyone, figure out what's going on, who's after us, who's driving what. I mean, a lot of questions we need answered. Roman, where are you at?
My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you. Buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you short for a while. Brought you in our secret spot. We're having a few friends over, it's a little messy, but it's all good, the more the merrier. Especially you right there in that third row, like I was saying. So look, see over there? That's Hobbs' urban assault vehicle. Best truck the U.S. government can buy. But that work of art back over there was made by my man Tage. Think of it as like a Mona Lisa on wheels.
So did you bring it down to them?
What's that?
You had one job to do, Roman. One. Alright, look guys, we're gonna keep Shaw from finding you. Hey, we need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here. So put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone can give us away.
Okay. You know what might also give us away? The big party that we're having next door.
Everybody out! It's the FBI! Turn the music off!
This is what we're doing. This is the race day after party. And where the other?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move.
Bill?
That's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. I got it. It's lightweight. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Escort this novice out. Let's go, Cookie Puss. You got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back.
Man.
It was on vibrate. Shaw traced us. Ops can't hold him forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real interesting. My Mona Lisa's
all warmed up right next door.
Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
All right, sounds like go time. Go ahead now and put on those 3D glasses.
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now or you all get fried!
This is our turn.
After there!
Okay, guys, it's showtime. Come to the left. This man is going fast enough. Roman, Letty, hook him up. Now we're moving.
Witness is mine, Letty!
How about you eat asphalt?
Don't think you're getting away! Come in there!
Way to go, Letty. Don't run another missile shot. Not gonna happen. Don't worry, I got this. Homie, don't shoot! Head from the bridge! Under contraction! Everybody hold on! Hit the nitrous! Ride and die!
Alright, let's check in on
Good job, everybody. You protected the witness and you can resume breathing.
You know it's crazy out there. You guys ride hard.
My Mona Lisa got messed up a little bit, but it's all good. We got through it. Y'all held us down. Appreciate it.
They say the bigger the family, the stronger it is. You guys did good out there. And you're welcome to join our crew anytime.
That is what we call Fast and Furious Supercharged. Big homage to one of our biggest franchises, Fast and Furious, of course. That does about wrap up our ride, so I am going to let Jimmy Fallon come back to say his goodbyes.
Over the past 6 decades, the studio tour has taken guests on an amazing behind-the-scenes look at a movie studio in a way that only Universal can. I hope that you had a great time today, and on behalf of everyone at NBC Universal, thank you for joining us to celebrate our diamond anniversary. Here's to another 60 years.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out with us today on the studio tour. You know, the tradition of taking people out to the studio to show them kind of behind the scenes, I mean, it's been happening now for 60 years. It is really how everything here at Universal started. Now we have 7 parks around the world. We're opening up Epic Universe in Orlando next year. It looks great. We entertain millions of people a year, but it really all started with the 2 glamour trams driving around this lot in the summer of 1964. We started originally with only 4 of us working on the tour, 2 guides, 2 drivers. We have hundreds of studio tour masters, drivers, and tour guides. We all help make the tour world famous for the last 6 decades. It is, as always, our pleasure to take you through the studio here at Universal Studios in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, on behalf of our driver Mike and myself, Trang, and all of us here at Universal, we hope you've enjoyed this exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the Hollywood experience that has been 60 years in the making. As we say here in the biz, folks, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us here today, everybody. I hope you had a great time today. We're going to get these gates open up for you in just a few moments, so please sit tight until our tram is completely stopped and these gates have been opened. But once they are open, hop off forward, watch your step, and please place those 3D glasses into those bins as we exit. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Go get a butterbeer, go get a giant donut, go ride the mummy. Just have the very best time. You deserve it. Alrighty. Bye-bye, everyone. Be safe. Be kind to one another. Stay hydrated.